Well, it is very early, but we are dropping off our RV with Alliance. Our time in Elkhart is kind of wrapping up. It's a little bit different, but we are going to come back to pick her up, but that's essentially about it. We might say hi to some people. Thank you so much for Alliance RV for taking care of our baby while we're gone and checking a few little minor things off the list that now I don't have to fix, which is awesome. We are about to hit the road. We're going to stop for breakfast here in Elkhart at a place that some people told me I should go to. Plus, we're going to try and see if we can go to one of America's newest national parks. And then we're going to be up in Chicago briefly, so something up there, not quite sure, depends on time. And then we're going to move all the way in to Madison, Wisconsin and go visit my parents because I haven't seen them in like 4 months since they've been summering in Wisconsin. They're getting ready to go back to Texas, so better late than never, but that's what we're doing today. So join us for some fun and road trip without the RV. See you on the road. Made it to Indiana Dunes National Park. This is a bit of a unique national park in the sense that it's kind of spread out and there's a bunch of different sites around an area. Also, it's an industrial area. If you're not familiar with the Midwest, there's a lot of steel plants, especially on the south side of Chicago through Gary, Indiana, and so forth along the south side of Lake Michigan. So that's what makes this park a little bit unique. We're currently at the visitor center. They don't open for another 45 minutes. So we're going to kind of move on from the visitor center, and if it's open later, we'll swing back by. What is there to do? So obviously there's dunes, sand dunes, and then there's also like a historic kind of house, futuristic thing. On the National Parks app, there are a couple of guided tours as well as a few audio guided tours. So we're going to pop into the app and kind of let that be our guide for the day. It's also important to note that there is Indiana Dunes National Park and Indiana Dunes State Park. So the state park is its own thing. So we're only doing the national park today. So what's super interesting is how spaced out everything in this park is. It's not necessarily a bad thing, it's just different. So there's actually a neighborhood in the middle of it. To my left at the moment is actually the state park, which I accidentally almost went into. So we're making our way to the east side of the park, which the west side and the east side are split by the state park. But we're headed over that way because we're doing one of the self-guided tours, and we're heading to Kemil Beach, Kemil Beach. It's just the second stop. So like I said, we tried the visitor center, it was closed. So we'll just try and hit that on the way out possibly. So we're going to spot number 2, that beach. All right, it's happening. I am officially putting on a jacket. This is the first time all year. Granted, I'm in the Midwest just outside of Chicago, but it has officially gotten colder than I care to admit that it is. So jacket's going on. Not sure how long it'll last, but I'm cold. So we're doing a little bit of a trail. I may actually put different socks on too now that I say all this. We'll get on the trail. In typical Ryan fashion, that first stop was literally a half-a-mile trail in a circle that didn't come to where I was trying to come to. So I wanted to see dunes. I wanted to see the seashore, if you may. But so our next stop, really it's our first stop, even though I kind of stopped on that last one, is Dunbar Beach. So this is where you can actually see Lake Michigan. know what's crazy about this too is you forget that this is a lake. So it's fresh water. I mean, it's cool, don't get me wrong. Also, you could tell it is definitely more of a fall day, even though fall is on the edge here in the Midwest. It's crazy how big this thing is, and you can see down the road a little bit. And well, I'll zoom in here in a second and show you a few other things, but those are some really big waves for growing up in Texas. We used to go to the Texas coast, and Lauren and I do every once in a while. And the times I've been in Mexico and on either coast, I mean, I can tell you that's absolutely crazy. So something else that's kind of cool in this park is you can see these homes right here. They were built as part of the World's Fair back, I can't remember the date, but I'll drive down the front of it and hopefully get some info. But they were supposed to be like this display of what they thought the modern home would look like, which is cool. Now, these are private residences, so you can't necessarily go inside of them. Occasionally they do tours and things like that, but they're right here on shores of Lake Michigan, and it's kind of cool to see. There's actually quite a few of them. You know, what's interesting is as I walk along the coastline here just for a second, technically it's coastline, is how much I actually appreciate being by the water. The temperatures dropped 10 degrees from even up over on the other side of the dune over there. But there's something very relaxing about hearing waves crash and all those things. It's just interesting. I used to be go, 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 and I still am very much so that, but it's like I thought about it when we were back at the truck before I walked in. It was like, crap, I wish I had my headphones because I could walk the shoreline a little bit. And it's like, I actually am happy I don't have my headphones, which is rare for me to say. Also, something really cool, and it's really hard to tell on this camera, but when I get to the top of the dune, I'll get a video of it. But you can see the skyline of downtown Chicago from over here. So I'm still technically in Indiana. I mean, barely. But Illinois is right there, somewhere over there. And so you can see across the way there, Chicago. It is also interesting to see all of the like steel mills and everything else. So like there's a mill there. Super interesting. But let's head back up towards the truck and head on to our next spot. All right, so this area is called the Century of Progress Historical District. So these are those houses I was telling you about a little bit earlier. Again, they're private residences, so you're not necessarily looking to, tour them or stuff. I believe they have a few things they do every once in a while. You can tell this one up here is being redone. It looks like it's being stripped down pretty good too. Interesting. The House of Tomorrow, restoration in progress. So the question is, how are they restoring it? Hopefully back to the way it was. So we are headed now to Mount Baldy. It's the largest of the sand dunes here at the park. So we'll hit that up, and then from there, there's a guy running. Okay, this is stupid. Sorry, there was a guy running into traffic, which is what you're supposed to do. But then you also have people, coming down the other way. So we're just passing Lakeview Beach as well. It's just a series of beaches. This one has a much larger parking lot. So if you're looking to get out, swim, that kind of stuff in the summer, that's probably where you want to go. So we are now at the Mount Baldy site. And what's super interesting about this is that it is the tallest dune here. It's not massive, but it is just a big pile of sand essentially. But what's really curious is if you look up there, you can kind of see there's like the tops of some trees. So the dunes are moving, which I found interesting. So the wind and everything kind of slowly pushes them this way. So eventually it'll overtake the area I'm actually standing in, but it's only moving at about 4 feet a year. So still quite a bit, but you can tell there used to be a tree there and the dune kind of slowly shifted and got it. So I'm not going to do this hike because I don't have the appropriate footwear. It is all sand, and apparently it's pretty steep up and down, and I don't really want to get sand all in my shoes and all that. So we're going to choose not to do that, and we are going to go ahead and move on. All right, well, that is going to officially do it for our time in Indiana Dunes National Park. I wouldn't make like a special huge trip out of anything to come to this national park, but if you happen to be in the area, it's definitely worth checking out. Definitely a summer destination too, because then you can spend some time on the beach, relax, maybe sit down there. I saw people playing with their dogs, all that kind of stuff. So there is a campground here. I have no idea on the restrictions or cost or anything. Just know that it exists. And you can look up more information on the National Park Service or NPS.com website. So what is next? So we are going to slowly start making our way to the Northwest. So we're going to get into Chicago now. And there's one thing in Chicago that I love doing. Now, I will tell you, going downtown's a blast. I love going downtown. But the downside to going downtown is I'm in a dually. I'm not going downtown Chicago in a dually. I probably would be okay, but I'm just not going to deal with it. Plus, I do at some point want to get to my folks' house, so I can only imagine what it would cost to park. I'm not 100% sure I know what the height is, so the garages are kind of out. So I'm just not going to mess with that. So instead, and this is not the original location, but we're going to get some lunch. But it's somewhere that is near and dear to my food-loving heart. So let's go to Chicago. Maybe get some pizza. Let's get some pizza. On the road.
So we are technically in Stromberg, Illinois, which is a suburb of Chicago. It's kind of the northwest side. And we're at one of my favorite pizza places, and I hope it's just as good as it was previously. We've had it downtown. The original one's downtown. It is a chain now, but there's really kind of two main ones that I think are the best in my opinion. Lou Malnati's, which is not where we are, which is also very, very good. There just wasn't one convenient on my route. I love Giordano's. I've had it many times before. It's one of my favorites. So we're just going to wait. It's also nice to get off the road. We're about halfway to Madison from here, from where we came in Elkhart, Indiana. So we're going to have a little bit of deep dish pizza for lunch and finish off the drive. Oh, it's been so long since I've had good deep dish. If you've never eaten deep dish before, don't pick it up. Use a fork, trust me. Makes me all happy inside. I'm going to enjoy the rest of this, and we'll see you guys back on the road.
All right, so Giordano's Pizza. Everything that I wish it was, I'm going to say it's really close. It's very good. I think the original one downtown's probably a little bit better, but it's not. But it's been so long since I've had a good deep dish pizza. And let me preface this by saying deep dish pizza is unique because, like in Texas, deep dish is like pan, which means it's mostly bread. This is not mostly bread. The bread's actually pretty thin. It's almost a little sweeter, but it's crispy. And then it's fillings. That's what makes it deep. And so it's almost more of like a pie. So I love it. But we're not quite done. We still have to drive the rest of the way to Madison. So we are pulling out of Chicago and we're going to make our way to Madison. Anything fun along the way, we're just going to stop and do it. So let's get back on the road. There ended up not being a whole lot more on that drive. So this is actually where I'm going to leave you. I am in Madison now, and I'm going to put the camera down for the next 4 to 5 days, and I'm going to spend some time with my parents. Thank you guys so much for watching and joining in on this adventure. If you're looking for more content, a little behind the scenes, maybe some bloopers, that kind of stuff, make sure and check out the Millers in Motion family. That's our little insider group. We'd love to have you. Talk to you guys later, and bye, Mom.